Hey everyone, today I'm going to be unboxing and installing this Innovate Motorsports MTX-D digital boost gauge and shift light into my 1997 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX, replacing a cheap glow shift gauge that served its purpose for a few years, but I need more than 30 psi of boost reading, so this should do the job. So I picked this up off of Amazon. You can get it at various places, but Amazon seemed to have the least expensive price. It was $134.75 with free shipping, so everywhere else seemed to be around $150. Alright, so let's open this up. So inside here we have our map sensor. This will get screwed to the firewall somewhere, and we'll feed this through to the gauge. Here's the actual gauge itself. Kind of hard to see. I'll take it out of the package. Comes with another faceplate if you want the white gauges, but I have the black mtx-l in my car now, so I'm going to leave it exactly like this. Looks very good to me. Get your data cable. This is very similar to the mtx-l, so you can reprogram the gauge for however you like. You've got a couple of zip ties and a T and some vacuum hose here. Silver bezel. And I believe this is the cable that goes to sense RPM for your shift light. So here's everything laid out that you receive in the package. Shouldn't be too difficult of an install. Like any other gauge, you'll need power and ground, as well as a wire to your headlights so that it can dim the lights if you want that. Then I believe the map sensor and the data logging cable simply plug in, as well as the RPM sense cable. Alright, I'll get to this. I'm going to be installing this in my dual pillar gauge pod, which I've already removed, because I've already removed the analog gauge I had there before. So this will be a pretty simple install of the gauge. Like any other gauge, you have a couple of screws on the back with a little bracket, and that retains it in the pod. This one is actually pretty nice. The glow shift that I had two little studs sticking out with normal hex nuts on it, so being in a very confined space, it was a bit of a pain in the butt to get a socket on there to actually loosen it up. This here has two thumb screws on it, which I believe is going to work a lot nicer. So I'll get that in there now. So I've gone ahead, installed the gauge in the top spot here, and tried to level it as best as I could with my mtx-l wideband below. And I've currently connected up the cables just to make sure everything works. Pretty simple. I've already got a line up here with power, headlight power, and ground. The sensor ground for the map sensor also connects to the same ground. This plug here is for your RPM for the shift light built into the gauge, but for the moment I don't think I'll be using this, because I've also got a little LED installed in the gauge pod up here that is activated through ECM link, and it seems to work very well for me. So for the moment being, I'm just going to use the boost gauge as a boost gauge alone and not use the shift light function. Maybe in the future I'll change that, we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and finish tidying up these wires. I've already heat shrinked everything that's permanent, and now I've got to go ahead and tuck everything under the dash and make it look somewhat nice. A little small note here, the MTX-D has two connectors on the harness, one labeled out and one labeled in. This plugs into your serial cable that comes with the kit, and if you want to be able to program it, you'll have to have it plugged into the in plug, and I believe the out is simply for logging, as was my experience with other Innovate products. And if you want to be able to do this and have your wiring all hidden, you better connect it up before you go ahead and tuck everything away. So I've connected mine up to the input, so I'll be able to change various parameters as far as the boost function goes. I believe you can change the scale as well as overboost settings, whatnot. So. Installing the map sensor was pretty well a breeze. I've got some custom lines run here. It's kind of hard to see in the dark. I've tried to tuck everything out of the way, but the map sensor is zip tied up there, and it's installed with a Y with my Omni 4-bar, which is right there. I can barely see it, and which go into the intake manifold right there. Anyway, your installation will vary, but pretty simple. Then just route the wires through the firewall up to the gauge, and that's about it. Plugs right in, and then with the installation of the power and ground, that's about it. I've got everything installed now, and everything seems to be working. I'll do a little startup here, and we'll see. You'll see exactly how it works. First, turn the key on, it does a sweep, resets itself back to 0, and we'll start it up. I've got ECM link running here with the Omni Power 4-bar map sensor tracking my boost. And you can see it's pretty well lined right up with the Innovate MTX-D. Give it some gas. Staying pretty much right with it. For my final thoughts, so far I like this gauge. Install was easy. I'll know more in the coming weeks and months as I actually get out and use it. The car's still sitting on jack stands right now, but hopefully by the end of next week I should have it out on the road, and I'll see how it actually performs. I'll try playing around with the programming function and maybe the logging, although I don't really need it with ECM Link. I'm more interested in some of the other functions like overboost and whatever else. I can't remember all the features that are available, but I'll play around with that when the time comes. So thanks for following along and watching, and if you'd like to see more reviews and stuff like this, just give the video a thumbs up and I'll keep on making them. Thanks for watching.